Before your child turns 5, stop obsessing over ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Because while you're drilling flashcards and celebrating alphabet songs, there's something far more critical happening inside their developing brain, something that will determine whether they become anxious overachievers who burn out by middle school, or confident, curious learners who thrive for life. This invisible foundation controls everything: their capacity to handle stress, their ability to form meaningful relationships, their creative problem-solving, their emotional resilience, and yes, even their future academic success. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, how old is your little one? Knowing their age helps us keep these tips relevant to your stage of parenting. Meet Sarah. At every playgroup, she was the mother other parents whispered about with a mixture of admiration and envy. Her 3-year-old daughter Mia could read simple words, count to 50 in English and 10 in Mandarin, and recite facts about the solar system that made relatives gasp at family gatherings. Sarah had invested everything into giving Mia a head start: phonics classes twice a week, educational apps carefully curated by child development experts, online Chinese lessons, even a subscription box that promised to build STEM skills before preschool. She was doing everything right. Or so she thought. But behind the Instagram posts of Mia's achievements, a different reality was unfolding. Mia was having daily meltdowns that lasted over an hour. She refused to eat most meals, her little body rigid with anxiety. She started waking up screaming from nightmares, clinging to Sarah with a desperation that felt nothing like the confident advanced learner she appeared to be during the day. Sarah isn't alone. We're living in an era where achievement anxiety has reached down to our youngest children. The early education industry is worth billions, fueled by a single parental fear: if I don't start now, will my child fall behind? But here's the truth that research keeps revealing: early academic acceleration doesn't predict long-term success. Dr. Arnold Gazelle's longitudinal studies showed that children who learned to read at age 3 to 4 had no IQ advantage over children who learned at 6 to 7 by 3rd grade. Early drilling often predicts the opposite: higher anxiety, lower motivation, burnout. From birth to age 5, a child's brain forms over 1 million neural connections every second. It's the most explosive period of growth the human brain will ever experience. But here's what neuroscience has revealed: the connections that strengthen and survive aren't determined by flashcards or educational apps. They're determined by emotional experiences. When a toddler cries and a parent responds with warmth, neural pathways for emotional regulation physically strengthen. When a child explores a cardboard box and a parent shows genuine interest, not distraction, not correction, just presence, pathways for curiosity deepen. When a preschooler feels safe enough to approach another child on the playground, circuitry for resilience and social courage builds itself, connection by connection. Here's the mechanism that changes everything: the human brain has a hierarchy of needs hardwired through millions of years of evolution. First priority: survival. Am I safe? Second priority: connection. Am I loved? And a distant third: complex learning. What's 2 plus 2? You cannot teach a child whose nervous system is in survival mode. The biology simply won't allow it. This is why anxious children struggle to learn, not because they lack intelligence, but because their brain is too busy protecting them from perceived threats. These invisible pathways create the brain's operating system, the foundation on which everything else will run. When a child feels genuinely safe, physically, emotionally, psychologically, something remarkable happens in their nervous system. They enter a state called ventral vagal activation. And in this state, everything changes. The prefrontal cortex comes fully online. Curiosity emerges naturally, without coercion. Social engagement systems activate. Memory consolidation improves. Creative problem-solving flourishes. The child becomes a learning machine, not because they're being taught, but because their biology is finally free to do what it was designed to do. This isn't about lowering standards or abandoning expectations. It's about understanding that emotional regulation is the foundation for all cognitive development. A 2024 Stanford study revealed something that should transform how we approach early childhood. Children with secure attachments at age 3 outperformed their peers academically by age 10, even when the securely attached children had received less formal academic instruction in early childhood. The mechanism? Their calm nervous systems allowed their natural intelligence to flourish. And here's how nature delivers this foundation: through play. When a 4-year-old builds a block tower that keeps falling, they're not wasting time. They're learning physics, gravity, balance, structural integrity. They're developing executive function, planning, adjusting strategy, persisting through failure. They're building frustration tolerance. They're experiencing intrinsic motivation, that internal drive that no reward chart can replicate. Dr. Peter Gray's research confirms it. Children in play-based preschools outperform those in academic-focused preschools by middle school, particularly in creativity, critical thinking, and social intelligence. Why? Because play allows children to explore at the edge of their competence, in a state of flow, driven by genuine curiosity rather than external pressure or parental anxiety. Before age 5, we're not just building skills, we're building identity. And the words we use, the responses we give, the moments we choose to notice, all of it shapes which identity takes root in our children's sense of self. Carol Dweck's groundbreaking research reveals a distinction that every parent needs to understand. When we praise smartness, "You're so smart. Look how clever you are," we create children who avoid challenges to maintain that smart identity. They give up easily because failure threatens who they believe they are. They develop crippling anxiety about performance, terrified that one mistake will expose them as frauds. But when we praise effort and process, "I noticed how you kept trying different ways. You didn't give up even when it got hard." We create children who embrace challenges, persist through difficulty, and see failure as information rather than identity threat. The difference seems small. The impact is enormous. A comprehensive 2023 global study tracked 50,000 children across 12 countries. The findings were unequivocal: children who spent more time in unstructured, responsive interactions with caregivers, what researchers call serve and return exchanges, showed higher emotional intelligence at age 7, better academic performance at age 10, and significantly lower rates of anxiety and depression as teenagers. Meanwhile, children enrolled in highly scheduled, achievement-focused early childhood programs showed short-term performance gains that disappeared entirely by 2nd grade. But the anxiety and lower intrinsic motivation? Those persisted. Your attention, your warmth, your genuine interest in who they are rather than what they can do, that's the foundation that lasts. So what does this foundation building actually look like in the messy reality of daily life? It's simpler, and infinitely harder, than you might think. Number 1, it looks like responsive presence. Putting down your phone when your child speaks to you. Making genuine eye contact. Showing real interest in their world, even when they're explaining the same fact about dinosaurs for the 15th time that day. Not fake interest, real presence. Number 2, it looks like emotional co-regulation. When your child has a meltdown over the wrong color cup, staying calm yourself. Helping them name the big feelings flooding their small body: "You're feeling really frustrated right now. I see you." Being the stable, safe presence their dysregulated nervous system can borrow from until they develop their own capacity for regulation. Number 3, it looks like unstructured playtime. Giving your child long stretches to explore, create, imagine, and yes, get bored. Resisting the urge to constantly entertain, teach, or optimize every moment. Trusting that a child staring at clouds or digging in dirt with intense focus is doing the deep work of development that no curriculum can replicate. Number 4, it looks like protection from chronic stress. Creating a home environment where mistakes are learning opportunities, not catastrophes. Where your love isn't conditional on performance. Where it's safe to be imperfect, to struggle, to not know the answer. This doesn't mean permissive parenting with no structure or expectations. It means understanding that the structure needs to support emotional safety first. When that foundation is solid, everything else, including discipline, boundaries, and yes, eventually academics, builds naturally on top of it. You cannot force a tree to grow tall by pulling on its leaves. But you can nourish its roots and watch it reach for the sky on its own. Before age 5, the roots are everything: emotional security, a calm nervous system, secure attachment, and the freedom to play. Water the roots. The rest will follow. What's one thing you're going to try with your child after watching this? Let me know in the comments. If you found these helpful, consider subscribing for more science-backed ways to support your child's growth. You've got this.